You ready for another one of those stories we love digging up?
Always.
Okay, so today we're talking about a guy who, believe it or not, was already showing signs he'd turned the world of commerce upside down, like way back when he was a kid.
Really?
Oh, yeah, in a program for gifted kids, little Jeff Bezos.
Little Jeff Bezos.
Little Jeff Bezos not only wanted that certificate for best reader,
Okay.
but also made an infinity cube. You know those mirror cubes?
Right.
Cheaper than the store-bought one.
Wow.
Already see the guy's mindset,
Yeah.
saving money and innovating all at the same time.
It's amazing how these little childhood details can be so revealing, right?
Totally.
Like seeking ways to do more with less, that competitive spirit.
Yeah.
Those are seeds that blossomed into one of the biggest companies on the planet.
And today we're diving deep into Amazon.
Right.
We grabbed that book you recommended, Jeff Bezos and Amazon, Alosha de Tudo.
Yep.
And a bunch more stuff, too, to really understand how it all started.
Okay.
And the principles that guided the early years of this giant. So our mission here is crystal clear.
Okay.
Extract the gold from these sources.
All right.
Deliver you the most valuable insights and curious stories.
All right.
But without drowning you in an ocean of information.
Gotcha.
So we want you to finish this deep dive with some serious learning, right?
Yes.
But in a fun and light way, like we're just chatting at a bar.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to learn.
Exactly. And the most fascinating thing about looking back at the beginning, right, is realizing that some of those Amazon trademarks, those philosophies and practices,
Right.
they were already there.
In the embryo.
In the company's embryo, exactly.
It's like deciphering the DNA of a giant.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a really good way to think about it.
And speaking of DNA,
Okay.
Julie Ray, an executive who observed Bezos as a kid, you know, in a special program, had already figured out that Little Tim, that was his nickname back then.
Little Tim.
Little Tim, yeah, had something special about him. So she noticed his competitive spirit, that drive to be the best.
Yeah.
Which was clear in the reading certificate story, right?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And that trick with the cheaper infinity cube showed serious resourcefulness, too.
Yeah.
The coolest thing is that years later, Ray saw Bezos' success as proof that the program really did help boost his talent and passion.
Wow. What vision.
Seriously.
It's a testament to the power of identifying and nurturing potential from an early age.
Absolutely.
And it shows that this curiosity, that drive to solve problems, even evident in his childhood games, were fundamental to what Amazon became.
And what about this day one philosophy? Man, that really caught my eye.
Yeah, no, that's a big one for them.
At the entrance of one of Amazon's buildings, you've got this Bezos quote plastered on the wall.
Yeah.
It's still day one. It might seem kind of obvious, but the depth of that idea is impressive.
Oh, yeah, it's not just a motivational quote, right?
It's about maintaining that energy, you know, that drive to learn and innovate as if they were just starting out.
Right. Avoid complacency, bureaucracy. It's like this is brilliant about this day one philosophy is how it pushes every team to operate with the urgency and the creativity
Like a startup.
of a startup. Exactly.
Yeah.
Even within this huge company.
Yeah.
It prevents that rigidity that often sets in at established businesses.
Yeah.
It forces people to constantly justify their existence and to seek new solutions.
And that culture is reflected in some pretty peculiar practices over there.
Okay.
To start with, no PowerPoint presentations and meetings.
No PowerPoint.
Imagine the work of having to write those 6-page narrative memos.
Wow.
But Bezos believed it forced people to think critically and to present their ideas in a much clearer and more structured way.
Yeah.
And the whole press release style documents for each new product, genius. It's like they had to sell the idea to themselves before trying to sell it to any customer.
Absolutely.
What did you think of the ritual of starting meetings by reading everything in silence?
Interesting approach.
Reminded me of those productive thinking exercises he did in school as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Seems he took some childhood lessons pretty seriously.
It's a practice that might seem unusual, but it promotes a shared understanding before the discussion begins.
Right.
It ensures that everyone's on the same page and allows for individual reflection before the group debate, which can lead to more insightful contributions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, the icing on the cake. The legendary Bezos laugh.
Ooh, the laugh, yeah.
So the author describes it as a scary thing, like a mix between a power tool and a mating elephant seal.
Oh my God.
And it usually happens when no one else is finding anything funny.
Okay.
Hilarious and kind of intimidating, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
So Rick Dalzell even said that it was used to disarm and punish.
Wow.
What a character.
This iconic laugh says a lot about his personality, right?
Oh, yeah.
This combination of seriousness with such a peculiar laugh creates this unique dynamic in the work environment. And the perception that it can be used as a power tool shows there's a strategic side to that eccentricity.
Let's rewind a bit now.
Okay.
To the moment when the idea for Amazon started taking shape.
Right.
So Bezos was at Bankers Trust, kind of frustrated with the routine, and he was already looking for an opportunity to become an entrepreneur.
Oh.
He even explored this idea of a personalized news service via fax with a guy from Merrill Lynch, Halsey Minor.
Interesting.
It's interesting how we already admired Frank Meeks, the guy behind Domino's expansion, and Alan Kay with that brilliant quote, "Point of view is worth 80 IQ points."
Oh, yeah.
You could already see he was studying successful people.
Yeah, absolutely. This exploration phase is crucial, right? Dissatisfaction with the status quo is a powerful engine for innovation.
For sure.
And this admiration for other entrepreneurs and thinkers shows an open mind, willing to learn from various sources and apply those learnings to their own projects.
And his time at D.E. Shaw, that quantitative investment firm.
Oh, yes. Rigorous.
What a rigorous place. It seems like there were even rules for spelling the company's name.
Really?
And the mission statement had to be recited in a specific order.
Wow.
But that's where the seed for Amazon began to germinate. He and David Shaw were brainstorming ideas for the internet.
Okay.
So things came up like a free email service, imagine, like a Gmail back in the 90s, and an online stock trading platform. The rigor of D.E. Shaw certainly influenced Bezos's analytical approach.
It did.
D.E. Shaw was the kind of investment firm that relied heavily on computer algorithms and mathematical models to make trading decisions.
Yes, very much so.
And these early ideas, even if they didn't materialize like Amazon, they show that they were tuned in to the internet's potential to transform different sectors.
For sure.
The free email idea, for example, anticipated something that would become huge.
Absolutely.
And get this, there was even a party at D.E. Shaw for Bill Clinton.
Wow.
And Bezos, considered the epitome of extroversion in a place full of introverts, took the opportunity to snap a picture with the future president.
Oh, wow.
And before that,
yeah,
he led the options trading group in Chicago.
Wow.
And competed with none other than Bernard Madoff in the third market.
Wow, what a resume.
What a resume, right?
Yeah.
That leadership at D.E. Shaw, even in such a peculiar environment,
right,
demonstrates his ability to influence and motivate people.
Yeah, and competing, even indirectly, with a figure like Madoff, certainly exposed him to complex dynamics in the financial world.
But the crucial point was when the everything store idea emerged.
Okay, the everything store.
The initial vision was a virtual intermediary selling every kind of product worldwide with real customer reviews.
Yeah.
A far cry from those disguised ads in the Montgomery Ward catalog.
Right.
David Shaw even said, the big question is, who will be the intermediary?
Bingo. This vision of the everything store was revolutionary for its time.
It was.
The idea of a single place where you could find practically anything with the credibility of reviews from other consumers.
Right.
It was a very strong value proposition.
It was.
And paved the way for Amazon's success.
Yeah.
And for those who aren't familiar with the term, the long tail refers to the strategy of selling a large number of less popular items that together can generate more profit than selling a few very popular items.
Yeah.
So Amazon's vast selection made this possible.
So then Bezos started planning his journey.
Okay.
Threw a party to watch the Star Trek finale and flew to Santa Cruz to meet some programmers.
Okay.
One of them was Shel Kafan.
Okay.
This veteran of startups got really excited about the potential of the internet.
Yeah.
They even looked for an office together.
Okay.
But the Supreme Court decision about sales tax ended up leading Amazon to Seattle.
Interesting.
That 1992 decision, exempting companies without a physical presence in the state from collecting tax, was crucial in choosing the location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that strategic decision to choose Seattle because of the sales tax issue demonstrates Bezos's long-term vision and attention to detail right from the start. Yeah. He was thinking nationwide from day one.
Yeah, he was thinking big.
And the initial team was pretty small.
Okay.
Shel Kafan was one of the first.
Right.
And then came Paul Davis, a programmer who left a university job to join this online bookstore that didn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
His colleagues were so worried, they started a fund to help the guy out if the business failed.
Wow.
And the office Bezos's garage in Bellevue with some Sun Spark station servers that consumed so much energy they kept blowing the house fuses.
Really?
For those who don't remember, these servers were powerful computers that formed the backbone of many internet companies at the beginning. It was crazy.
This image of the garage is classic in the third of the world, right?
It is.
It shows the humble beginnings and the dedication of the initial team.
Right.
Willing to sacrifice personal comfort for the sake of a vision. And the concern from Paul Davis's colleagues reflects the skepticism that often surrounds groundbreaking ideas.
And the name Cadabra, the company's temporary name.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good thing they changed it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Bezos's first lawyer said the magic illusions were too obscure and that a lot of people confused it with cadaver on the phone.
Yikes, that's not good.
So then the search for a better name began. They registered some bizarre domains, awake.com, browse.com, and bookmall.com.
Wow.
Bezos even thought about ard.com to appear at the top of the alphabetical list back then.
Ooh, that's clever.
Choosing a company name is always a delicate process, right?
For sure, for sure.
Cadabra really didn't convey the idea of a bookstore.
It didn't.
So this search for a name that was memorable, relevant, and had growth potential is a fundamental step for any business. Then, in October 1994, came the epiphany.
What was it?
Amazon.
Amazon.
The largest river on Earth, the largest bookstore on Earth.
Wow.
It seems that Bezos was super convinced right away and didn't even want to hear other opinions.
He knew.
He was right, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Snagged the domain name quickly.
The choice of Amazon was brilliant.
It was.
It evokes grandeur, vastness, and the unlimited potential that Bezos saw for his business.
Yeah.
And that immediate conviction shows the strength of the vision he had.
And the Bellevue garage didn't last long.
Okay.
With the beta site almost ready,
Yeah.
they needed a more professional space and moved to an office above a tile store in Soto, Seattle.
Okay.
And the first official warehouse was in the building's basement.
Oh.
This small, windowless room that used to be a band studio.
Wow.
And still had the phrase Sonic Jungle spray painted on the door.
Imagine the vibe.
Imagine the vibe.
Yeah.
This transition from the garage to a commercial space, even if still modest, marks the beginning of the company's professionalization.
Yeah. And the description of that first warehouse already gives you an idea of the makeshift environment and the chaotic energy of those early days.
And the launch of the beta website in the spring of 1995.
Okay.
So they sent links to friends, family, and former colleagues.
Okay.
The site was pretty simple, with lots of bold blue text announcing 1 million titles, consistently low prices, and an amateur logo with a river winding through the letter A. The wife of one of the first employees even thought no one would want to use that thing.
Funny how things change.
Yeah.
It is funny to look back and see how rudimentary the first websites were.
It is.
But the important thing is that the functionality was there.
Yeah.
And that initial skepticism.
Yeah.
It's common when faced with something new and disruptive.
But there was the first purchase.
Oh, there was?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
John Wainwright, a former colleague of Cafan's, bought Fluid Concepts and Creative Analogies, a science book.
Wow.
And today there's a building named after him on the Amazon campus in Seattle.
Wow, what a tribute.
What a tribute, right?
This first purchase is a symbolic milestone. It shows that the idea was working.
Yeah.
Even if on a small scale.
Right.
And the tribute to the original buyer.
Yeah.
It's a way to acknowledge the company's early supporters.
And the website, even though it wasn't pretty, already had a lot of things working.
Like what?
Virtual shopping cart, credit card security,
Okay.
and a rudimentary search system using a books in print catalog on CD-ROM.
What a CD-ROM.
Yeah, it was like a digital version of a printed book catalog stored on a CD, a testament to the technological limitations of the time.
Oh.
And how Amazon used the available tools in an innovative way.
Right.
They even considered an email ordering system for AOL and Prodigy users.
Wow.
But it never materialized.
Interesting.
This demonstrates their mindset of experimenting and testing different approaches.
Right.
So not everything that's planned ends up being implemented.
Sure.
But the important thing is the willingness to explore possibilities.
And what about the early book reviews?
Oh, yeah. A lot of them were written by employees and friends. Capa even read an entire book to write one of the first reviews.
Wow. Dedicated.
And some were negative.
Oh, interesting.
Bezos even got a furious letter from a publisher complaining that the job was to sell books, not criticize them.
Oh, my goodness.
But his response was brilliant. We don't make money when we sell things. We make money when we help customers decide what to buy.
That's great.
Customer-centric vision from the very beginning.
Yeah, I love it.
Beyond just simple transparency.
Yeah.
This openness to negative feedback from the start
Right.
built long-term trust with consumers.
Yeah.
Which was something traditional retailers hesitated to do.
Absolutely.
So this philosophy of putting the customer first,
Yeah.
even if it means displaying negative reviews,
Right.
is one of the pillars of Amazon's success.
Yeah.
This transparency builds trust with the consumer.
And you could already feel the beginning of the long tail
Okay.
with one guy ordering several copies of that Douglas Hofstadter book right after the first purchase.
Paul Davis even joked that their basement stock was the smallest and most eclectic bookstore in the world.
The long tail is a fundamental concept
It is.
to Amazon's business model.
Yeah.
Their ability to offer a vast selection of products,
Right.
including those with lower demand,
Yeah.
is a major differentiator compared to traditional bookstores.
And the official website launch in July 1995 revealed some pretty curious things about human behavior.
Oh, like what?
People were ordering everything. Computer manuals, Dilbert comics, books on restoring old musical instruments.
Really?
And even sex guides.
Wow.
And the bestseller of the first year was a book on how to set up a website.
Of course it was.
Times were different back then, right?
They sure were.
These early orders reflect the nature of the early internet users.
Yeah.
Often tech-savvy and curious about this new technology.
Yeah.
And the bestseller shows the interest in creating an online presence. Packing orders was a real saga.
I can imagine.
The crew would stay up until dawn wrapping books in self-adhesive cardboard, on the floor. On the floor.
On the floor.
Oh, wow.
Until Nicholas Lovejoy,
Okay.
a former colleague from D.E. Shaw who was working part-time at Amazon,
Okay.
had the brilliant idea of putting packing tables in the warehouse.
Makes sense.
Bezos even turned this story into a Jeffism. It was such an obvious solution.
That's funny.
It's incredible how simple solutions can make a big difference.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bezos turned that into a Jeffism shows the importance of optimizing processes, even the most basic ones. In meetings with investors, Bezos painted a somewhat uncertain picture.
Really?
Oh yeah, few assets, losses in 94, and projections for more losses.
Okay.
But in contrast,
Yeah.
he threw out some optimistic sales projections for 2000, reaching $114 million, while the actual result was over $1.5 billion.
Wow.
And he wanted Amazon to be valued at $6 million. What foresight.
Yeah.
This ability to balance the reality of the present with an ambitious vision for the future is a hallmark of great leaders.
Yeah. He recognized the challenges.
But didn't stop aiming high.
And Bezos' hiring philosophy was quite demanding.
How so?
He personally interviewed each candidate and asked about their SAT scores.
Right.
The idea was to always raise the bar with each new hire.
Yeah.
But this generated some conflicts because as Amazon grew, the need for more people increased.
Right.
And early employees would recommend talented friends.
Yeah.
But Bezos continued with his relentless questioning.
Oh, no.
Asking those bizarre questions like, how many gas stations are there in the United States?
Really?
It was a test of reasoning, not knowledge.
Interesting.
And anyone mentioning wanting a harmonious environment was immediately ruled out.
Wow.
Yeah, this obsession with hiring the best and brightest shaped Amazon's culture, the unconventional questions.
Yeah.
They aim to assess the ability to think under pressure and find creative solutions.
Yeah. And the aversion to a harmonious environment suggests a preference for a challenging and results-oriented environment.
Yeah. And it's funny, they'd be placing test orders for plastic toys just to see if the system was working.
Wow.
And when Amazon had its first $5,000 sales day, Nicholas Lovejoy wanted to throw a party.
Sounds reasonable.
But Bezos shot it down. We still have many goals to achieve.
Wow.
Total focus on the goals.
This anecdote perfectly illustrates Bezos' relentless mindset.
Yeah.
And his prioritization of long-term goals over momentary celebrations.
By early 1996, the company already needed more space.
Okay.
They were cramped in 3 rooms with desks made from doors.
Right.
And the basement was full of books.
Yeah.
Bezos went out looking for a bigger office and dismissed every building he saw as too small.
Wow.
He already wanted space for everything Amazon might need in the future.
Thinking big.
Always thinking big.
Yeah, this long-term vision.
Yeah.
And the anticipation of future needs were crucial for Amazon's growth.
Totally.
He wasn't just thinking about the present,
Yeah.
but about how the company could evolve and expand.
And Christopher Smith, a temporary worker who ended up spending 14 years at Amazon.
Oh, 14 years.
Described the early days as a constant rush.
Yeah.
With cardboard and packing material flying everywhere.
Oh, my goodness.
He said a very powerful line. Life simply stopped. We were stuck in amber, but inside the amber, there was intense activity that nobody else could see.
Wow, what a powerful image.
Powerful image, right?
This quote captures the intensity and almost maniacal focus of those early days at Amazon.
It was a world apart.
It was.
With its own dynamic and a frenetic pace. And Rufus, the corgi dog belonging to employees Eric and Susan Benson.
Oh, I've heard of Rufus.
Became the startup's mascot.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He went to work every day and even had a superstition of tapping the keyboard with his paw.
Oh, my God.
Before launching a new feature.
How cute.
And today, there's a building named after him there.
I know. That's amazing.
It seems Bezos has a nostalgic side, doesn't he?
That's so sweet.
There's a building named Fiona, the code name for the Kindle, and Obidos, a nickname Shul Kafan gave to the company's infrastructure.
That's sweet.
This Rufus story adds a touch of lightness and humanity to the early days at Amazon.
It does.
And those tributes with building names show that despite the intensity, there was room for personal bonds and moments of relaxation. By the end of the summer of '96, Amazon already had almost 150 full-time employees.
Wow.
The warehouse moved to a larger space.
Okay.
But the new office in downtown Seattle wasn't all that great.
What was wrong with it?
It was in a kind of rough neighborhood full of strip clubs near Pike Place Market.
Oh, my goodness.
There was even a homeless person teaching employees how to use their access cards.
Oh, wow.
This move to a less glamorous location reflects the prioritization of investing in the business itself rather than in luxurious facilities. And the interaction with the reality of their surroundings adds an interesting layer to the story. So then Eric Benson developed a pretty simple recommendation system called Similarities, which showed books that would be interesting to each customer based on their purchase history.
Interesting.
And this resulted in an immediate increase in sales.
Wow.
Greg Linden said that Bezos even got down on his knees in his office and joked, "I don't deserve this much."
Modesty. I don't know her.
This recommendation system was a turning point for Amazon.
It was.
It showed the power of personalization and how to use customer data to improve the shopping experience and boost sales. Around that time, Shul Kafan was a bit paranoid about the arrival of investors and new executives. He went straight to Bezos and bluntly asked, "Are you going to replace me?"
Wow.
And Bezos didn't even flinch. "Shul, the job is yours for as long as you want it."
Interesting.
It seems he valued the loyalty of the early employees. This response from Bezos demonstrates the importance of recognizing and valuing those who have been with the company from the beginning, especially in times of rapid growth and change.
Early in '97, Mark Breyer, one of the new executives, introduced this bizarre game called Broomball to the staff.
Broomball?
It was like playing soccer on grass with brooms.
Interesting.
It seemed like a joke, but the competition was intense, just like Bezos.
Oh, no.
Andy Jassy, who was a newcomer, even hit Bezos with a kayak paddle.
Oh, my goodness.
Breyer's time at Amazon was short. But broomball became a common pastime at company gatherings.
I see. This broomball story reveals a competitive and fun side to Amazon's culture. Led by Bezos himself. And even though Breyer didn't stay long, he left a mark on the company's culture.
And Amazon soon caught everyone's attention.
You can imagine.
3 days before the IPO, Barnes & Noble filed a lawsuit alleging false advertising because they called themselves Earth's biggest bookstore.
But it backfired because the lawsuit ended up attracting more attention to Amazon.
It did.
And Barnes & Noble launched their own website afterward, with many people hoping Bezos would fail miserably.
Really?
A research company even called Amazon Toast.
This rivalry with Barnes & Noble and the lawsuit were crucial moments for Amazon.
For sure.
They demonstrated the disruption the company was causing in the traditional market. And ironically, helped increase its visibility.
Well, the IPO weekend was crazy in Pebble Beach.
Oh, tell me about it.
There were cruises, the banker teaching Bezos how to dance the Macarena, and a pirate-themed dinner that was interrupted by a storm.
Oh, my goodness.
And Bezos, amid the chaos, could only laugh.
Wow.
Total exuberance.
That chaotic celebration and Bezos' reaction to the storm embodies his resilience. And ability to find joy, even in adverse situations.
And Rick Dalzell, who later became a key figure at Amazon as CIO, resisted for a long time leaving Walmart, even with Bezos insisting. He even said that only an atomic bomb would take his family away from Arkansas.
Wow, he was committed.
But Bezos didn't give up.
Of course not.
He called Dalzell's wife, asked an investor for help.
Really?
And even traveled to Bentonville to try to convince him.
Wow, that's dedication.
In the end, he accepted the job and was instrumental in putting Bezos' ideas into practice.
Yeah.
Bezos' persistence in attracting talent, even the most reluctant ones,
Yep.
and Dalzell's eventual arrival were crucial to executing Amazon's vision.
Absolutely.
Dalzell brought the experience of a large company to help scale the operations. Cafan, on the other hand, was getting a bit fed up and just waited to complete 5 years at the company to receive his last shares before resigning.
Makes sense.
Bezos' reaction was lukewarm.
Interesting.
Later, Bezos even said that Cafan was the most important person in the entire history of Amazon.com.
Wow.
But Cafan felt betrayed and very disappointed with how things ended.
Oh, that's sad.
It seems that many of the early employees shared.
Guys, see you in another podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.